How's it going, everybody? So today I'd like to do a review of my Fortis B42 Flieger watch chronograph version. First of all, it's going to be a biased review because I love Fortis. I've loved Fortis for a few years now, several years actually. I have this Fortis and I have a vintage Fortis too, a all original one. So I'm kind of invested in the brand. I follow the brand. It kind of freaked me out when they sort of had some financial troubles a few years ago, or last year when that was. But I think that they're past that now, moving on. They've revamped a lot of their models, their website, and so I think they'll have a good future. But as a Fortis fan, I just like to make clear that this review is going to be biased because I love these watches and I really hope that they continue into the future. So Fortis is a good historical brand since 1912. They were the first mass producer of automatic watches. As you've seen probably TGV mention or other reviews, that was the John Harwood model. It wasn't the same as this as an automatic that we think of it. It was sort of a type of pendulum in the movement where the rotor would move back and forth kind of like this rather than all the way around. In any case, that's what one of their first claims of fame is. I'd say that they were kind of hit by the Fortis crisis as far as I know. And then once they started making watches with the 7750 movement, making watches for the Russian space, Roscosmos, that's when they started hitting their stride. And I think since TGV gave them some press, if a lot more people seem to know about them, at least in the watch community. But outside of it, I really don't know anybody who knows about Fortis, at least in North America. I was talking to my watchmaker who's from Austria, and he was telling me that in Europe, there are more people know them. They're a bit more popular than here in North America where I live. So in any case, I'm a huge fan of the brand. I think they need more press. They're starting to do a better job on their Instagram and social media, other social media. So, yeah. This model here is the B42. It has the B42 case. So, a lot of their watches have this case. There's the Flieger, which has changed names, but the name escapes me right now. Aeromaster. The new Aeromaster is basically the replacement for this. This uses this case. That uses this case. The B42 Marine Master uses this case. The B42 Cosmonaut uses this case. So basically, everything that has B42 in it, or some things that don't, have this case. So this is it dates back to the 90s. This case, it's been a pretty popular case for Fortis watches. This is a B42, from what I understand, refers to the 42mm dimensions of this. And B is Beobachtungsuhr, which in German means observation watch, basically, if you literally translate that. So let's go to this particular watch now. This is a B42 Flieger. This is the older model. So this watch, I don't exactly know when this came out. I think it was this watch I think is from about 2013, 2014, something along those lines. So this is the one with the split date window, as you can see, where it says 31 and then Monday there. It'll expose itself a bit more as the review goes on. So this is a little different than the newer ones. The newer ones do not have any readout there, nor do they have the split date. For me, I kind of like the split date. I thought it was kind of funny. It's a little weird. I've never seen that before, so that's kind of what appealed to me. Because the one thing that draws back from these watches with 7750s like this has is the date window on them all looks the same. So I thought that this was kind of an interesting differentiator. So this watch has the 7750 chronograph movement. A lot of Fortises have, Fortises have this movement. Fortis was one of the original users of this movement, from what I can understand. I read an article that was talking about how Fortis was one of the first brands to start using this movement in the 90s. Breitling was up there too. This movement was developed in the 70s and kind of shelved, sort of, and then it was reinvigorated in the in the 80s and 90s, and Fortis was one of the early adopters of this movement, along with Breitling, I think IWC as well. So it's an interesting history there. That's kind of what, for me, I like Fortis with chronograph. So for that reason, partially the looks. It's a good movement. This one has a see-through case back, as you can see. Here's just a small shot closer up of what it looks like. As you can see, there's a bit of writing on the rotor. And overall, it's not very ornate, but it's tooly, so I think that's a good excuse not to make it too ornate. Chronograph works great. We all know what a 7750 is. Stop. Boom. So it has the traditional readout of a 7750. So you've got your minute tracker, your large seconds hand. This is the always running seconds, and then this is the 12-hour timer. Frankly, I don't really use it that much. You know, I use it to time food and to time my laundry, so clearly I'm a dedicated pilot, but I think, you know, I like how it looks. I like the chronograph function, so for me it's a novelty to own. The movement is great. It's a very accurate watch. This one's older, and I've never had this one serviced, so it's it tends to gain. I don't know, a lot of my watches don't lose, they all gain. This one gains about 3 or 4 seconds per day. So, you know, no complaints, right? And I would imagine if I get this thing serviced at some point, it'll probably be, you could probably regulate it to be really good. So that's the movement. I think that the 7750 is a great movement. Yeah, it's kind of everywhere, but you know, simply because Fortis was one of the early adopters of the movement, in my mind, based on some of the articles I've read, I kind of that gives it more sort of interest to me for them to use off-the-shelf movement like this, just because they were one of the first guys to do it, first manufacturers to do it. So the case is really good. It's all brushed. It's really smooth brushing. Like if you go like this and feel it, it's kind of soft, right? And it's really nice. It feels really, really, I don't know how to say it. Like it's really high quality. The case bottom is also brushed. It's really nice as well. I like the no brush factor. I have some polished watches like my Oris, and that scratches so easily. This doesn't really scratch that easily, and it kind of tones down the watch, right? This is a bigger watch, so I think that the brushing's a nice feature. It makes it look more tooly, less blingy, and this is a very high quality brushing, so it's really good. I'll put the measurements up on the case right now. This is 42 millimeters with 15 millimeters height, as most 7750s have. This is, I believe, the lug to lug is 50, so 52, so that's pretty big. I'll put the measurements up just to be sure, but yeah, it's not exactly a small watch. It's quite large, so you know, if you have a wrist under, I have a 7 1/4 inch wrist, so I can definitely absorb this watch. But if you have a smaller wrist, this might not be the one for you. Check out Fortis's classic case. It's a little smaller. Just what makes this thing feel big is the lug to lug. You know, it's just a 42, but the lug to lug's quite long. So pushers are quite oversized, which I personally like. This watch has 200 meters water resistance, no screw down crown, so I quite like that. It's a little annoying sometimes messing around with the screw down crown. So I like that. I like the size of them. They're really easy. I could definitely see somebody wearing like leather gloves, or you know, in the case of the space watch, you know, wearing space suit or whatever. It's really cool. Bracelet is screwed on, very strong. Just overall, it's a really robust case. It's a really robust case that's well made, well brushed. Now I'll go to the dial. This dial is excellent. It's, as you can see, it's got a tachometer, the readouts, and it's super easy to read. You know, like the black on white, white on black is made for maximum visibility, and I really think that they nail that. I like how the numbers aren't cut off with the chronograph. You know, this little triangle here is supposed to show that you turn the crown this way to change the date. And overall, it's really good. This one's all printed. The newer watches have some applied markers. The numbers tend to be applied on the newer ones, but this one's a little older. It's all printed, and for me, that doesn't really matter at all. It's extremely high quality printing. It's very legible. A lot of times you see these chronographs that are kind of busy, hard to read. This one, not at all, just because the contrast is so high. And the hands, too. You notice most hands are usually made of polished metal, have a bit of reflection. These ones are matte with white inserts, so it's really good. The lume on this watch is good. Like I said, this is an older watch, so it was probably better when it was brand new. With the lume, if you blast it or you're in the sun, this will last quite a long time. It's quite good. For instance, I have an Alpina Flieger, and this one blows it away. It's on par with the Oris, I would say. So yeah, overall the lume is excellent. Very happy with the lume. This has a sapphire crystal, as you would expect with anti-reflective coating. As you can see, it's extremely clear. Very easy, as is the dial, so it's a really high quality crystal. So the bracelet, this has the B42 bracelet, okay? A lot of the watches, Fortis basically only makes 2 or 3 bracelets. All B42 cases, from what I understand, have this bracelet. This bracelet is fantastic. It's super intricate. When you take it apart, each piece comes off, so it's a little bit of a pain to adjust. Each little link comes apart, so you'll slide this one off, slide the middle one off, and then slide this one will pop out this way. And you have to take a few of them out just to adjust it, but it's very robust. The screws are kind of interesting in the fact that the pin goes through one side, and the little screw screws into the pin, so then the whole pin slides out, as opposed to the screws simply just screwing into the link itself. So that's kind of interesting. Is it better? I don't know, but it's very robust. It works really well. No taper, as you can see, but it's really good. It's super durable. It's very comfortable as well. The negatives I have is the clasp, and even the new Fortises have this clasp where it's just a pressed clasp here. This is machined, obviously, but this part is all pressed, which, on a watch, the newer watches are like over $2,000 from Watch Buys. So that's the negative. I don't care. I don't mind the friction clasp. Like a lot of Breitlings have it, and the friction clasp on here works really well. It's very good. I like how this notch sticks out this way. It's very easy to grab. So very good. Other nitpick, I find this crown a little bit hard to pull out. You need fingernails to get this thing out. At least for me, it's tough. Pulled out that time, but if you just clip your nails, it's a little bit tough. But I mean, that's super really nitpicky. Not really a critique. My last critique is just of Fortis itself. I understand they're a smaller company, but here in North America, it's hard to find them. You can't go into a dealer and look at them like you can with an Oris or a Mito or something else on this kind of level. Although this is higher, I'd say, than a Mito or Hamilton, but you see what I mean. I'd say Oris is their #1 competitor. This watch, you can't find them in store. You can only buy them from an AD in North America, which is Watch Buys, and I live in Canada, so it's a bit of a pain to import them. You gotta pay import fees, taxes, etc. I'll show you what it looks like on my wrist. I like to wear my watches behind my wrist bone, so I kind of wear it like this. It's gonna look bigger on camera. I'll put up a couple pictures maybe, but it's not exactly the smallest watch. And the lug, the lugs kind of hook on your wrist, which I really like. I like how it looks, I like how that feels. But I'd say this is probably pushing it if you want to wear it with a shirt cuff. Probably the biggest you'll get. So overall, I conclude by saying that this Fortis watch is amazing. I love Fortis. It's probably my favorite brand, honestly. Like Fortis, Oris, they really do it for me. I really like the tooly look of the Fortis watches. I like the history. I kind of like that they're a little less popular. A lot of, you kind of are the unique person when you have the Fortis, but at the same time, I wish more people would have them because I think they're excellent. The Fortis watch groups on Facebook are pretty good. There's a lot of different models on there. You can check them out, see what they look like. And overall, I love this watch. This is probably my favorite watch I have. Top 2, I'd say. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and this one went a little long just because I love the Fortis watches. You know, I can't express how much I like this watch, so I highly recommend checking out Fortis if it appeals to you. So, in any case, take care. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you the next time I make a video. Okay, goodbye.